Hey, this is Troy Erickson from copywriting.org, and today I am joined all the way from the UK by somebody who at one point Googled and searched what the heck is copywriting and how do you make money from it? And then now today he's writing financial and biz op copy for Agora and Grant Cardone at points during his career. So we're going to talk a little bit about his story and ask him for a little bit of advice. And then you'll be able to chat with him and get his contact info afterwards. So I'd like to welcome Cain Smith.
Hey, Troy, thanks for having me today.
No problem at all. So, I was reading your copywriting.org typed interview, and it was like you're in between jobs and you Googled ways to make money online. And I know there's so many crazy ways to get into this industry, but can you talk a little bit more about how you got into it?
Yeah, sure. So it was a little bit weird because at the time I was working in the facilities management industry, which for people who are unfamiliar with that, you're basically managing the fabric of a building. You're managing security officers, cleaners, maintenance guys, stuff like that. And I'd had a contract that I pretty much hated. It was like a toxic environment. So I quit very suddenly, which was out of character for me. It was something I had to discuss with the missus. I've a kid, family man and everything. So it was a big decision. And there was about a 2-month gap between leaving that job and starting a new one where I had no money coming in and I was panicking, desperate, I suppose. And I was Googling online. I think literally probably the search term I put in was ways to make money online or something like that. And I saw copywriting and I didn't really know what it was. I just thought, well, I can write stuff. I was good at English at school. I guess I can write for pennies. And it ended up being a content mill, which again, I didn't know what it was at the time. I know now they have a terrible reputation in the industry. It's definitely not something I'd encourage a new copywriter to do, start on those. But that's where I got my start. And yeah, I earned about $25 or £25 for my first article, which was an article on multivitamins. But it was a real buzz. I remember the thrill of thinking, wow, I'd gone from being a guy going out 10, 12 hours, working on site in all weathers. It's like, wow, I've just earned money in my dressing gown at my laptop. It was a real buzz, even though it was a very small amount of money.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. It's to make your first even £25 online, how did that feel when you were like, holy cow, I can literally just make money without being present inside of a corporate building?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was just such a thrill, and kind of addictive. And all those payments, writing those articles for the content mill, I don't think I ever made more than $70 or $80 for any of those articles. But it just I kind of got addicted to it. And I thought, right, I want more. How can I make more money from copywriting? Which is when I went down the rabbit hole. And I guess I discovered direct response. When I was reading about the guys like Ben Savenga and Gary Halbert, Clayton Makepeace, the greats, and the long form direct response copy, that's what I thought, yeah, I'd love to get into that, especially if you enjoy telling stories. And it was just a style of copy that I really wanted to break into.
Right. Now, how did you level up from being a beginner and, getting paid not that much to write to working with higher level clients who obviously have more resources and value your work more? And it's just a much better experience. So there's probably a lot of people listening who are in the beginning stages and they're probably wondering, how you leveled up and how fast.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it was like a 2-stage process. So from writing with the content mills, I stuck with content for a while, but writing blog posts and case studies just for small entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. But that was the first shift, getting off the content mill and just reaching out to small independent clients and doing some content for them. When I transitioned into sales copy, I broke into the SaaS industry first. Again, I was working with a lot of small startups, medium-sized businesses at best. But that's where I was writing web copy, emails, ads, getting away from content and moving more towards copy that sells a product or tries to sell a click in some way, a lot of lead gen copy and stuff. So I did that for a while. It's probably a long story that I won't get into here, but I felt a bit constrained by that industry, probably because the copy's so short, and I was craving to write some longer form stuff. And then came the pivot from there, where I guess I had that portfolio and that background from the SaaS industry. I'd proven I could write conversion copy, I suppose. And it got a lot easier then to break into the more traditional direct response markets, because I at least had a body of work to show after that. Probably took, all in all, about 2.5 years from content mill to direct response.
Right. So what are you doing for clients now? I know obviously you're writing mainly in financial and biz app. Is it strictly long form? Do you mix it up a little bit? How many projects do you work on every month?
Yeah, sure. So it's a mix. I write across the funnel, whether it's a lead gen funnel or a sales funnel. So it could be copy as short as a Facebook ad or a lift note, right down to writing long form promos. I was fortunate because I worked in-house at Agora for a while, so I got my training there. And then when I left there, I had that body of work behind me. So I work mainly with course creators, coaches, online educators, right? Anyone who sells like an information product or program. That's the niche I stick to. Writing assets right across the funnel for those guys.
Right. So what was one of the biggest lessons that you learned throughout that journey, especially, working with Agora? That's obviously there's probably hundreds of lessons you learned, but what are a couple of them that stand out to you?
Okay. Well, I think the thing at Agora, I mean, it was an amazing education. So I worked in-house at the British financial division, South Bank Investment Research. Trained under an amazing publisher, a guy who's got years and years of experience in the industry. So yeah, you learn, I guess, what people imagine is the kind of line by line, sentence by sentence training on how to write copy. It's quite granular. Of course, you do that, but the biggest takeaway I took from the Agora machine was, like everything else that probably as a copywriter you're not immediately thinking about. How to put together a funnel, how long it takes, from conception to launch, to close down, what to test, what not to test, all the little twists and turns when a launch isn't going well, right? What asset do we need more assets? Do we need to tweak this? Just kind of managing a project from start to finish, a funnel of that complexity, and working as part of a team. There's legal, there's video design. It's kind of all the stuff you don't really think about when you just want to be a copywriter and you just want to be fingers on keyboard writing stuff in a Google Doc. Just the whole business around it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a good point, because a lot of people, they think that copywriting just involves copywriting, but there's so many other things going on.
Yeah.
And one thing that you mentioned too is you recently launched a course for copywriters that focuses on client management processes. So can you talk about, some of those processes, that you found have worked really well for you, whether it was at Agora or for somebody like Grant, and how has that helped you, and what exactly are the processes?
Yeah, sure. So that program, Client Management Confidence, I launched it back in August, just to a few people on my email list. And then I closed the doors, and I'll be relaunching that again probably sometime this March at the time of this recording anyway. But that program goes through my full process of lead qualification, how to sell a client on a call, and then how to manage a client during the project, which is again, probably a part of the process you don't really think about when you want to be a copywriter. You realize, oh, I'm a service provider. I have to provide the service to a client here. And I didn't have much confidence, I've told you my background, working class guy. I grew up in an environment where people didn't even have white collar jobs. I was an outlier just for having a white collar job, never mind being a copywriter. So I came into this world with very little confidence. My first few sales calls were disasters. I remember my first sales call, it was a doctor who was selling like a weight loss surgical procedure. And we got on the call, and I remember me saying, so how can I help you? And he was like, well, I thought you were going to tell, it was a disaster. So I gradually, just through reps, Troy, just through keep getting on the calls. I went from a guy with kind of no confidence to someone who like had a pretty dialed in process of how to qualify a lead so that you're not wasting your time with someone who maybe can't afford your services or they don't play in the same niche as you, to running a really solid sales call where you feel confident that you're going to land the gig if you feel that they're a right fit. And then managing a client during the life cycle of the project as well. Regular communication, because I believe it's important to over communicate, if anything. Copywriters, we like to just kind of lock ourselves away and work, and your client is often left fretting, like, are you actually working on my project? What's the update? How are things going? So it takes people through the full life cycle of a project, how to manage it really.
Yeah, that's cool. And hopefully people are taking notes as to just like bullet points on the things that they should be thinking about outside of copywriting. So, yeah. It's cool because, you know, it's tough to, like, you don't know what you don't know. And for somebody to say, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and here's what you should look out for, and here's things you should think about, it's really important. So where should somebody go if they're kind of interested in learning more about managing clients?
Sure. So it'd be cainsmithcopywriter.com /5-mistakes. That's 5 the number. cainsmithcopywriter.com/5 mistakes. And when you sign up to the email list there, you receive, I call it an email primer. It's just a sequence of 5 emails where I highlight the 5 biggest mistakes I see freelance copywriters making, the mistakes I made myself personally. I tell stories and I say, these are the mistakes you need to avoid. And, you know, here's how I propose you avoid them. Here are the solutions. So people will get that when they sign up as well.
Awesome. So, and that was cainsmithcopywriter.com/5-
mistakes.
Perfect. Okay. And I'll have my team put that in the description as well, so people can click it. But
awesome.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on here and, you know, sharing those things, because there are things that frankly, a lot of copywriters don't think about. And I guess one last question for you. What are you most looking forward to in 2023? What are you most excited about?
It's probably going to be a cliched response, Troy, but I'm excited to see where AI goes. Like most copywriters, I've been playing around with ChatGPT. I feel really excited by it and the possibilities of how it can help us write better copy. So I'm really excited to see where that takes us. Yeah,
V4 is coming out sometime soon, and it's only going to get better and better. So yeah. Hey, maybe a lot of people are saying the same answer, but that's okay, because that's what really good offers and softwares do. They make people excited about them. So yeah, and I'm excited for you as well. And you know, launching your own list. And by the way, like, if you go to that link, you can get on Cain's list and just kind of like stay in the loop with what's going on too. It's not just like a straight pitch or anything. So yeah, feel free to hop on and check out Cain's list, and you'll probably learn a lot. You'll at least learn 5 mistakes and how to correct them. So, all right, Cain, thanks for hopping on, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Appreciate it too. Thank you.